Because of why I search the deep through endless nights, no time to sleep. The call inside I can't deny. I'll find the light because of why.
Hey everyone, and welcome to an explainer on a real head-scratcher, the Paradise Paradox. So, picture this, a place with the most beautiful beaches you've ever seen, water so clear it's like glass, and zero income tax. Sounds perfect, right? Well, that same place also happens to be one of the most expensive places to live on the entire planet. So, how is that even possible? Let's get into it. When you think of the Cayman Islands, this is probably what pops into your head. You know, the white sand, the turquoise water. It's the ultimate Caribbean fancy. It's sold as this perfect dream destination, a place where life is, well, literally a beach. But that postcard perfect view, it's hiding a very, very different reality. And boom, here's that reality. Let this number sink in for a second. 4,900 Caymanian dollars. That's the average monthly rent for a 3-bedroom apartment in the city center. In US dollars, that's nearly $6,000 a month. That one number just shatters the illusion for a lot of people and brings up a massive question. So, how does this happen, right? How can a place that's famous for having no income tax be so unbelievably expensive? Well, that's the core mystery we're going to unravel today. And it all starts with a huge misunderstanding of what tax-free actually means. Okay, so first things first, let's tackle this whole tax-free idea head-on, because the story behind it is part cool local legend and part carefully constructed economic strategy. So, there's this fantastic local story. It's called The Wreck of the 10 Sails. The legend goes that way back in 1794, some locals saved the crew of 10 wrecked British ships, and one of them supposedly had a royal on board. As a thank you, King George III supposedly granted the islands freedom from taxes. Forever. It's a great story, but there's just one tiny problem. There is absolutely zero documented evidence that any of it actually happened. The real story is, a bit more practical. The truth is, for most of its history, there was really nothing worth taxing in the Cayman Islands. People were just subsistence farming, working at sea. But then, things changed, and they changed fast. They built a runway in '52, which literally opened the door to the world. Then in the '60s, some very clever government officials decided to turn the lack of taxes into an actual feature to attract business. And the real kicker? In 1973, when the Bahamas gained independence, a ton of finance workers moved to Cayman for its stability, and that just cemented its status as a global financial hub. So here is the absolute key to this whole thing. Tax-free only means no income tax. The government still needs money to run, right? And the way it gets it is through a consumption-based system. This means they don't tax what you earn, they tax what you spend. Super high taxes, called duties, get slapped on almost every single thing that's imported onto the islands. And that, my friends, changes everything. Now, this whole consumption tax thing doesn't exist in a vacuum. When you combine that system with the simple fact that it's a tiny island, you get a perfect storm for high prices. And it's really driven by 3 core factors. So it all starts with the fact that they have to import basically everything. Then you've got insane pressure on a very limited amount of land. And finally, you pour a ton of money from tourism and high finance on top of it all. Let's break each of those down. First up, import dependency. I mean, think about it. It's a small group of islands. Almost nothing is grown or made there. Food, fuel, cars, your clothes, building materials, you name it, it probably arrived on a giant container ship. This is the first major layer of cost baked into everything. And you feel the impact everywhere. Want to buy a car? Well, get ready to pay up to 42% extra just in import duties before you even drive it off the lot. The same thing goes for fuel, which makes your electricity bill more expensive too. Every single item in your grocery cart has the hidden cost of its long journey built right in. It's wild. All right, now for driver number 2, land and demand. And this number is staggering. Between October 2021 and December 2022, that's just over a year, the population of the Cayman Islands grew by 14%. Can you imagine? That puts an almost unbelievable amount of pressure on housing and infrastructure. And all those new people need a place to live, which leads to this. The average house price in Cayman is nearly $1 million US. That's almost triple the average in the US or the UK. You've got a tiny bit of land and a flood of high-earning expats, so the competition for a place to live is just fierce, pushing prices through the roof for everybody. And that brings us to our third driver, all that concentrated wealth. The islands are basically built for two groups of people: wealthy tourists and the global finance industry. This creates an economy where premium prices just become the standard. Restaurants, shops, services, they're all priced for somebody on a luxury vacation or a finance exec with a ton of disposable income. And that just raises the daily cost of living for every single person who lives there. Okay, so we've looked at the big economic forces, the why of it all. But what does this actually mean for your wallet day to day? Let's break down what things actually cost. I mean, the daily costs can be just jaw-dropping. A one-bedroom apartment, over 2,400 Caymanian dollars a month. And that's before you pay for utilities, which can easily hit $400 because you need the AC running all the time. But it's the little things that really get you. Over $7 for a dozen eggs, almost $13 for a pack of chicken breasts. Even a pretty normal dinner for two can set you back $100. It adds up so fast. And this isn't just numbers on a spreadsheet. This is what people are actually living through. This quote from an expat teacher there just says it all. She's got a good job, a professional salary, but she's still finding it almost impossible to save anything. And her experience really highlights the most crucial point. This whole economic system does not affect everyone the same way. It creates a massive divide between the people who benefit from this tax-free world and the people who are just getting crushed by the high cost of living. I mean, look, for a high-earning finance pro, this system is a massive win. You're saving maybe 20-30% of your salary from income tax, which more than makes up for the expensive groceries. You come out way ahead. But what if you're working on the minimum wage of just $6 an hour? You don't get any big tax savings. You just get hit with the full force of those inflated prices on rent, food, and gas. It makes life a constant financial battle. So after looking at all of this, we have to ask the big question, right? Is living in this paradise actually worth the price? And the answer, it seems, is that it's a huge trade-off. So yeah, it all comes down to this massive trade-off. On one side, you have incredible tax benefits, the chance to make a really high salary. And I mean, come on, you get to live in one of the most beautiful places in the world. But on the other side of the coin, you're facing one of the highest costs of living anywhere, constant pressure on housing, and a real financial struggle if you're not in one of those top-tier jobs. So living in the Cayman Islands isn't some simple dream. It's a calculated choice. It's really an exchange. You're trading financial pressure for tax benefits and an amazing lifestyle. And that brings us to the final question I want you to think about. What would you be willing to trade for your own slice of paradise? So that's the story behind the Paradise Paradox. If you found this breakdown interesting, do me a favor, give it a like and subscribe for more deep dives just like this one. We'd really love to hear what you think in the comments. Is that trade-off worth it? Let us know. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.